The second of 3 servings on what is a day-long marathon of competition across the platforms. The Gentlemen Sim Racing Club across the Facebook and YouTube pages, ladies and gentlemen. Later tonight, live coverage of the, what are we up to now? 3rd round, yes, believe it or not, 3rd round of GTE coming to you from the Adelaide Street Circuit in South Australia. But our assignment in the interim to get you through the next couple of hours is the Miami International Autodrome for Disruptive Labs GT4. That's the newest circuit on the server, of course. There it is, 5.35 kilometres. You know it as the home of the Miami Formula One Grand Prix. And also Formula E as well. There's a few different configurations to play with around this circuit. We will do that over the course of time, I am sure. But 29 degrees the temperature on the circuit at the moment, 25 the ambient, and this is the second in as many weeks of sprint rounds for our GT4 challenges on the back of last week's action, which we brought you about 3 hours ago from the Long Beach circuit in California. And we're heading back to Italy, so some correlation there. America doubleheader for GT4, and except they moved from the west coast to the east coast, and an Italian flavour for Porsche GT3. That's Disruptive Labs GT4 after 2 rounds. Jordan Malcolm on top by 12 points on Matt Bailey, Paul Wood 87, Stephen Bull 82, and Craig Bond 81. Our good mate Adam Lavis is here alongside me, sitting in 6th position, just 1 point away. This is the 3rd round of the series. We've stayed in North America pretty predominantly for the first part of the campaign. We'll do some travelling around the place in the weeks ahead for week 4, of course, coming up next week. These guys, of course, head to Monza, and for the Porsches, it's a switcheroo. They go to the United States and they go to the Daytona Road Course. Adam Lavis and Cameron Dance, the front row here. Paul Wood and Jordan Malcolm, the second row. This is for Heat 1, of course, 10:30 local server time in the morning, 17 kilometre an hour winds, 25 the ambient, 28 the track temp, 58% humidity, cloudy conditions, easterly winds 17 k's an hour, dry conditions and 0% chance of rain. Paul Wood, Jordan Malcolm, the second row, so the best of the championship contenders there. In position number 4, Craig Bond, Stephen Lawrence, Tyson Broad, Connor Nixon, Ben Woods and Aidan Cale make up the top 10 on this grid. It's only a 17-car field. Pretty depleted one at that too, ladies and gentlemen. Shane Beaumont, Eduardo Zamora from 6. From 7, it's Kyle Greck and Justin Cahir. From 8, it's Dave Oliver and Andrew Franklin. From 9, it's Kurt Nommensen. Now, the good point about this is we've got 17 cars out there ready to rock and roll. The interesting element to this, Adam Lavis, is that it's an unknown entity. It's a new venue, a new venture. It's going to be interesting to see how you guys go about mastering the challenge ahead, because it's not a straightforward setup.
That's a very technical track, very sort of fast and flowing. Like the corners are sort of backwards. You're always sort of slowing down through the slalom sections, and there's plenty of spaces where you can get off track or a bit of a slide on. And as you see on the screen there, there's that's one of the cut-throughs there. We'll be using that for one of the sprint races there. Whereas tonight we'll be coming down below the screen into that section with that really tight chicane under the overpass. So, and then there's a couple of little shortcuts here and there, which we'll find out over the course of the season. But yeah, it's very, very sort of technical track with 2 big long drag strips on either side. So, makes it very interesting how it balances with all the cars in the GT classes with their different pros and cons.
I know it's only 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I know I shouldn't probably say it, but I'm going to anyway. That strip of racetrack that you talk about, it's slow, it's tight, it's technical, it's just dicky. It looks clunky. I'm not a fan of it. I've tried to master it on the F1 game, because that's the only relationship I have with it, obviously. I don't have an iRacing rig or setup or anything like that. But yeah, it's just the circuit, I feel, would be better off without it. But unfortunately, the powers that be thought it would be a good idea. Thankfully, some of the other configurations and other circuit layouts don't feature it. Righto, we're off behind the safety car. We're ready for race 1 of what is a 2-race program tonight, ladies and gentlemen. 16 minutes for Heat 1, and of course we will have a 7-minute feature for Heat 2. We're off and racing. Orbit, Drop Bear, lock out of the top 3 positions on the grid. Let's go in Miami. Bondi on the inside, making it all right, jump and get away. Diving down on the inside of Ben Woods and Aiden Cale to go to second. Good to see Woodsy and Orbit drop their colours. Good to see Aiden Cale back on the grid. It's been far too long between drinks for him. Bond in the second spot, but now firmly, quickly displaced by Ben Woods. No Matt Bailey tonight. That's a leg up for Jordan Malcolm as far as the championship's concerned. But a strong returning presence of Orbit Drop Bear. Must have had nothing else on the schedule last night because 5 of them were on the grid and they're all in the top 10.
Indeed, yeah, big presence for the purple cars.
Oh, Adam, no, right on cue. We're talking to you and we're talking now about you. Oh no, what the hell? Dear oh dear. Again, just one of those easy trip-up points, but that's normally a Porsche doing that sort of stuff, not a Mustang.
Well, it was weird because that corner felt understeery all through practice, and then all of a sudden that one, it just the rear let go and wouldn't come back.
By the way, a little bit of breaking news has come through in the last couple of hours, folks, with regards to the Australian Formula One Grand Prix. Happy to confirm an on-track schedule for you that includes racing on all 4 days. There will be Carrera Cup action. There will be, yes, there'll be action from supercars as well, from as early as 3:35 on the Thursday afternoon Eastern Daylight Time. And then the league will be racing after Formula One practice wraps up on Friday with the Supercars and Carrera Cup taking us in well past 7 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. So that's hugely exciting. That's also the opening weekend of the AFL season and the NRL season. So a lot of channel changing and collaborating to be done there. And now the other thing as well that we need to have a look at, oh dear, that's a messy one, isn't it? Really, for Orbit Drop Bear, that was looking so good for them until that moment for Cameron Dance drops him down 6 spots. And the rest of the stable up well on the opening few laps here. Jordan Malcolm and Craig Bond now side by side. So Bondi's going toe to toe with the championship leader. Malcolm's going through to 5th spot. Orbit Drop Bear lockout of the top 4 right now, and probably could have been 5 had it not been for that moment for Cameron Dance. Down the inside, Bondi. Oh, geez. You guys got your work cut out for you on this circuit because it's such a challenging one to try and figure out.
Stefan Lawrence,
yeah, 2 for the price of 1 for Stefan. But it just, there's no real smooth sort of rhythm and flow to it. 1 minute you're going right, then it's left, then it's a slow sweeping sort of right, then it's the left, then it's the back straight. You really only get to relax on the back straight, which is not even fully straight. And there's a couple of kicks in it. And obviously the back straight, that's a far better part of the racetrack. Jordan Malcolm to the inside. Now in a bit of a roadblock situation here because he's trying to find his way past Craig Bond and Stefan Lawrence, and Jordan Malcolm has Cameron Dance looming large, latching onto his tail right now. Just going into the Formula One in more detail, 8:30 start on the Saturday morning for the Formula 3 race at 8:50 a.m. Everything goes through again until after, 9 o'clock start on the Saturday morning, and Carrera Cup going through until 7:15 Eastern Daylight Time. And then within all of that, you've also got on the Sunday morning, 8:50 a.m. for Formula 3, and the Australian Formula One Grand Prix getting underway at 3 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. So very late finishes. An early enough finish, a 6 o'clock finish on Thursday, but then the Friday, we're there till after 7 o'clock. The Saturday, we're there till after 7 o'clock. God bless daylight saving because the Albert Park Street Circuit doesn't have lighting, Adam Lavis. And then Sunday, we're done by 6 o'clock, which is good.
And past that there, Jordan Malcolm, he's dropped well back. He got to slow down through that tight chicane and had to yield in the back straight, so he's lost a big chunk of time on these guys.
What I don't like, however, about all of that, and you're right about Jordan Malcolm, so he's now dropped behind Cameron Dance. So Dance has got up into 7th spot, Bondi is 6th, chasing Lawrence. The top 4, the Orbit Drop Bear stable, have just checked out. They've gapped the rest of the pack. It's only a 17-car field, or actually 16 now because Andrew Franklin's parked up. Dave Oliver is out of the race, and so too is Kurt Normanson. So we're down to 14 already. Miami's already been chucked in the too hard basket for some. And I don't blame them. What I don't like, however, is when you look at the Sunday schedule, right? We're going to be there from 8:30 a.m. That's television and everything else. And the coverage will go through till 6 o'clock. You've got 4 races. You've got enormous gaps. 2.5 hour gap between the end of Formula 2 and the start of Formula 1. And just the fanfare and the BS that goes on, all in the name of, you know, Drive to Survive and Netflix. I mean, it's a long time to sit around and wait. That's the only criticism I have of it, and that's the only reason why, like people say, oh, would you like to go to it one day? No, I wouldn't, because there's too much sitting around and just twiddling your thumbs for the amount of money you pay for it. I'd much rather just sit at home, watch it on the TV and get other stuff done whilst waiting for racing to actually happen. Stefan Lawrence and Craig Bond rubbing panels there. There was definite touch of tyres between those two men. Across the line we go. Down the main straight. Broad leads, Carl leads, Woods leads, Nixon leads, Lawrence leads, Bond. It's Porsche, Merc, Porsche, Merc, Porsche, Ford, Porsche, Porsche, Merc, Merc, Merc. Only 5 different manufacturers on the grid tonight. Eduardo Zamora in the BMW, Kyle Grech in the McLaren. No Aston Martin representation here, which is different to last week. We've had all 6 manufacturers involved in the first 2 rounds, not the third. No love for the Aston here. And with it only being 16 minutes too, ladies and gentlemen, the lap times are around about that 2-minute mark. So that makes it easy enough to figure out that we're looking at no more than 8 laps in this first race. A long way around here, a 5.5 kilometre circuit. Or close enough to 5.5. And the same as we're going to any circuit of that length. There's a distinct difference for so many different reasons. Aerodynamics, straight line speed, tin top versus open wheeler, etc. As to why you are watching these guys clock the circuit about half a minute slower than the Formula 1 cars. That's tight between the 2 teammates. No team orders here, says Tyson Broad. He wanted Aiden Cale's position, but Cale displaces him and takes the lead away.
That's inviting
So Aiden Cale leads.
That's inviting Lawrence and Bondi back into this.
And they wouldn't want to do that for too long. I can see Paul Wood poking his nose out down there on the inside of Jordan Malcolm. He's got Cameron Dance all over him like a cheap suit. Down the inside, Nixon thinks better of it on Ben Woods. So Aiden Cale leads. Nicely done. Well played. Now to the inside at turn 1. It's Broad. Copy. 13 makes sense because that goes nicely into 27 with the transit of the pit lane. Thrown in for good measure. Broad and Woods are side by side. Woodsy trying to find his way through. Stefan Lawrence, we're right on board with him. As Adam alluded to, he has now caught Connor Nixon. And we expected that.
Want to see some horsepower?
Why not? Adam Waves in 12th spot. We're riding on board with you now. To watch you go down the inside. Have a look here. Why not? The Mustang, straight line poker, that we were talking about it earlier. Straight down the inside of Justin Kahir. Why not have Shane Beaumont while you're at it? There we go. Beautiful. Lavis goes to 10th. Perfect. That's exactly where you were about this time of the Long Beach race as well, mate. The trick will be to stay there now.
Well, it depends on these guys to stay on track.
Exactly. Hale, Woods, Nixon, Broad, then Lawrence, then Bond, then Malcolm. I was just quickly replying to a friend of mine before she questions my mathematics and my equation working out. There was one of those stupid bloody meme things doing the rounds on socials talking about February having only 4 Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays. And apparently, according to this thing on social media, that's a 1 in every 823-year occurrence, when really it's actually once every, 3 and 4. So when you figure that out, it's 21 years every 28. So that's a regular occurrence, because 4 7s are 28. But again, maths is not my strong point. So I'll be interested to see what she has to say for herself about that now. Hale, Woods, Nixon, Broad, and Lawrence, top 5. Bond, Malcolm, Wood, Dance, and Lavis. Then Beaumont, Cahir, Zamora, and Grech. So Lavis is in the box set for the invert pole again. I hope I'm not putting the mocker on that, having not seen the results or the vision until this point. So that's 6 of 8 at Miami International Autodrome. Newest circuit on the server. I'm sure it'll have mixed reviews from the driving cohort. Down the back straight. It sounds so silent there, doesn't it? It sounds so silent there until they come far enough up the back straight there for the camera microphone to pick the noise up. It was almost like we're watching Formula E for a moment, but that was last weekend on the venue. Ben Pedersen, good to have you on board. Where are you, by the way? We've just commentated some Porsche racing. You're nowhere to be seen. Hopefully see you back out there in due course. Carl Woods, Nixon, Broad, orbit drop there, 1, 2, 3, 4. His point about the purple sectors is right, particularly if your name is Aidan Cutler, because he streaks clear to a 2.6 second advantage right now. Got Nixon there in third spot. We ride on board with him looking back at Tyson Broad. Benny Woods holding on to second right now. No team orders at play here, obviously. The boys have already made that abundantly clear. Stephen Lawrence is fifth, Craig Bond, Eddie Jordan Malcolm, 5th, 6th, 7th, and then Paul Wood, Cameron Danson, Adam Lavis, the top 10. Just 2 Fords in the top 10. Again, it's Bond and also Lavis. Watch Bondy.
Oh, block.
Oh, no! What's going on here? Stephen Lawrence just trumps across with the defence. Slams the door shut on Bondy. Wowee. Holy cow. I don't think Bondy's liking that too much. What on earth is going on here? Through the chicane. To the left-hander we go. Another lap in the No, Bond find a way by Lawrence this time through. No, again, Lawrence is on the defensive. Stefan defending for dear life here as they make their way down to the end of the back straight. I thought that was going to work for Bondy. I thought Lawrence was going to run a little bit too deep on the exit and Bond was going to be able to crisscross, but Lawrence positioned it beautifully, and all that ended up happening was Bondy got balked and just gave him a love tap on the rear on the way through. Oh, no. Oh, white flag. Oh, sorry, I thought you said black flag there for a moment. No, white flag. Yes, of course. Last lap board in the air. One more time around. One last opportunity for Bond to snare a top 5 finish. Adam Laver sits there in 10th at the moment, looking good for the invert pole. Hope you're enjoying it. This is race 6 of 8 that we're calling for you today, ladies and gentlemen. So we're starting to sound a little bit worn out and fatigued. You know why? Thankfully, we do a driver change for Friday Night Motorsport, which is live and free from 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time tonight. It'll be Trucker Joe Baldwin in here with Liam Banks, and Banksy will be on home turf. So they're a parochial bunch for some reason. I don't know why the South Australians, but it'll be particularly prevalent tonight. Noticeable for those of you tuning in at home. And maybe even to the point of unbearable. If you're one of those types like me that can't necessarily cop too much parochialism in one service. Lap 8, the final one. Hayden Cale saw his way to the front early on and broke clear. Oh, that's right. I didn't finish my story about the daylight saving petition in the last broadcast, did I? So I better come back to that. Aidan Cale, Ben Woods, Connor Nixon and Tyson Broad the top 4. Stephen Lawrence is 5th. Craig Bond is lost out there, and he's too busy now with his hands full, mirror full of Jordan Malcolm trying to defend him. But it's an orbit drop bear quadrilla, ladies and gentlemen. Aidan Cale back in Disruptive Labs GT4 and back to victory lane. Second will go to Benny Woods, Connor Nixon, Tyson Broad. Then we go back to Stephen Lawrence, held off Craig Bond and Jordan Malcolm. Then Paul Wood, Cameron Dance, and now here comes the checker for Adam Lavis. At least Bunny made it to Miami. We're still waiting for him in South Australia.
He's allergic to that state.
So am I. So am I. So I don't blame him. Eduardo Zamora in 13th. That was his incident earlier on. Nice defence step van. Yeah, very good.
Here's some of the gear changes, didn't it?
Yeah, no, didn't like that, did it? Chewed you up and spat you out. Spun you around. At least you're able to get on with it, mate, and salvage your top 10. That puts you in the invert pole for the next race. Here's another incident. Oh, Kurt Nommensen. And Dave Oliver, how did he end up involved in this? He didn't. Separate incident. Isolated separate incident, righto. Oh, here it is. Straight through the infield and gone. Yeah, right. That looks like a bizarre sort of tech failure for mine. That or just an enormous amount of frustration on Dave's part, one of the two. And Andrew Franklin, with that famous 1994 Dick Johnson look on his race car, and just sliding across the AstroTurf and into the wall, and he says that's enough for me. So we had Dave Oliver not make the finish, nor Andrew Franklin, nor Kurt Nommensen, and everybody else has come home, but well down the running order. 50 seconds covered Justin Kahir and the race leader, so that's 14th onwards. Makes the points allocation rather easy when there's only 14 to give it to. Orbit drop there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 9. Cameron Dance, of course, sitting there in 9th place. And that'll put him on the front row alongside Adam Lavis. So Orbit Drop Bear will go about trying to sweep the night in just a few moments here in round 3 of Disruptive Labs GT4. The calendar for GT4, as I said earlier, we go to Daytona next week. So, again, staying in America. But then week 5, we head to Sebring. Week 6, to Portland. Week 6, we'll then head on to the Algarve International Circuit, Portimao, Portugal. Week 7, we're off to Mount Panorama Bathurst. So that's what's ahead for you. Then the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Monza next week, can't wait for that. Sorry, it's the Porsche's going to Daytona, that's right. So, Monza, Portland, Algarve, Mount Panorama, Barcelona, Catalunya, Alton Park, and then the Nürburgring World Endurance Championship layout for 60 minutes. That one will be nice to get you through to the end of the campaign. The 40-minute races are really ahead of us, aren't they, ladies and gentlemen? Just 2 sprint rounds remain after tonight. They are rounds 5 and 9, but they're 2 good circuits for sprint racing. There's no doubt about that. And if what we saw in the Porsches earlier today is anything to go by as to what we're going to get for 40 minutes of GT4 around there next week, sign me up immediately. Rightio, let's have at it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hop, skip and jump our way into the feature server here. 27 minutes, 13 laps ahead of us. And sprint racing, the order of the day once more. Invert top 10 means Adam Lavis sits on pole position. He does so alongside Cameron Dance on the front row. Second row, Paul Wood, Jordan Malcolm. Third row, Craig Bond, Stephen Lawrence. Fourth row, Tyson Broad, Connor Nixon. Fifth row, Ben Woods, Aidan Cale. 11:11 local server time, February 5, 2026. 16 kilometre an hour winds in an easterly direction, so that's a strong easterly blowing there for you. 25 degrees the ambient, 55% humidity, cloudy conditions, and 30 degrees on track, but at least it is dry. Shane Beaumont, Eduardo Zamora, Justin Kahir and Kyle Greck make up the field, which is depleted with only 14 starters. Hopefully a bit more in the way of bums on seats next week when we get to Monza. But unfortunately, there's a couple of tracks that are just either take them or leave them at them. A bit hit and miss as far as the season is concerned. Going to be hard to get continuity with that layout of circuits, at least when we get to the Nürburgring and I guess to Alton Park and Bathurst. We know that they're circuits that most people either have or get around.
There's a trick with some of these newer tracks is they're good to have, but it's a matter of trying to get the people on board to pay the monies to have the license for the track.
Exactly. It's not like it's an ongoing annual fee like your iRacing subscription is, but that's all right. Set for a start. Adam Lavis wastes no time in knocking around here. Foot to the floor, let's go. Dan's got across immediately to cover off Wood and Malcolm. Malcolm up on the outside of Paul Wood to turn one. Malcolm's going to third. Deep through the corner. That might allow Woody an opportunity to get back through. Woodsy, no. Hardy's nose chopped off by Jordan Malcolm, who goes through in third place. Dance is second. And immediately applying the pressure on Adam Lavis. How quickly will they spread out? How long will this race stay bunched up for? How quickly will the Orbit Drop Air stable work their way through to the front of the field? Big, big, big dive. Tyson Broad into the side of Paul Wood. It compromises Bondi. Oh, it's wiped him out. It's wiped him out. Woody's gone. Ben Woods is caught up in that. Connor Nixon as well. Oh my goodness me. Connor Nixon on the tow rope. Ben Woods on the tow rope. You have got to be kidding me. One of the obvious trip hazards of street racing, but more to the point, invert racing on the platforms of the GSRC rears its ugly head again. What the hell? That releases some pressure on some of these would-be contenders. Paul Wood will be limping back to pit lane. Kyle Greck was lucky to get away with it because he was last on scene, after which point all the carnage had already played out. Eduardo Zamora goes into 9th spot. Shane Beaumont to 8th. Craig Bond to 7th. He lost out. He got balked in all of that. Aidan Cale up 4 spots to 6th, and Tyson brought up to 5th now. They're chasing Stephen Lawrence, Jordan Malcolm, and then Cameron Dance, who's still got Adam Lavis in his sights. Interesting opening lap. Really good stuff. Really enjoyable. Unless you're one of the Orbit Drop Air stable. Connor Nixon and Ben Woods out of business. Would you believe that? So the best they can hope for now, Adam's a lock out of the podium, a trifecta. They can't go for the quaddie anymore.
No, but they've still got me and the two Wright boys to contend with, though, so hopefully at least some of us can maybe put a bit of a sport to that party.
That's it. Oh, jeez. I've got I've literally just opened social media, and Diana Damjanovic, gorgeous reporter for SBS and the ABC. She works in the radio section there, and she's just written to me saying, "Where is Tony Mockbell going on holiday? Can I come?" That's her post on socials at the moment. So Tony Mockbell, back in the news headlines. Cameron Dance to the inside of Adam Lavis and gets the job done. Dance will hold it around the outside. Lavis will have his nose up on the inside, but Dance will have the line to the left-hander and the chicane that follows. Nicely done. We take chopper cam, drone cam to the left-handers and the back straight we go. Well played. Well done. Cleanly from Cameron Dance. That's all you can ask for, really. Don't forget, folks, whilst you're watching Friday Night Motorsport tonight with Joe Baldwin and Liam Banks, keep your eyes peeled because there will be plenty of opportunities to get your multi-screen sports bar set up and operational because the Winter Olympics are getting underway from Milano Cortina. Been enjoying the curling and the ice hockey so far. Plenty more still to come there, including, of course, the alpine skiing and the snowboarding, and so much more. So all that coming up tonight, and then 5:30 tomorrow morning Eastern Daylight Time, the opening ceremony will get underway. Here's Shane Beaumont now in 9th place.
In front of Bondi's cars,
as
looking a bit second hand.
Place. Yep. That was Eduardo Zamora going by Bondi, so you're right. Bondi has had a run-in with something or someone, and I'm sure we'll hear more about that later on.
Possibly he might have been in that first lap construct.
Yeah, could have been so, yeah, absolutely. He did have to get on the anchors to try and avoid getting caught up in that. Whether he successfully did so or not remains to be seen. Got a Malcolm, third at the moment, looking dangerous. Remembering he had a comfortable lead at the top of the championship. 12 points over Matt Bailey, not on the grid tonight. Ryan Jones and a few other would-be contenders and protagonists not on the grid either. And so this will be a good points gathering mission for Jordan Malcolm to try and give himself a buffer to play with going into the later part of the season. And you just never know when you might need to fall back on those points if other results don't fall your way, or, of course, if his real-world life commitments infringe on his ability to be here week in, week out. Lots to look forward to, however. Jordan Malcolm. That's who we've got our eyes on at the moment. He's following Adam Lavis. He's got his teammate Stephen Lawrence behind him. Gantz was a little bit wide. Will that give Adam Lavis an opportunity to have a crack? No, not yet. He was fast enough on the exit to cover off any error. But look at this. The top 5 within 1 second of each other. And Aidan Cale looming large as well in 6th. Oh, Lavis in the draft, in the drag down the back straight, the aerodynamic horsepower advantages of the Mustang working for Lavis, but not under brakes. Dance bowls it wide, deliberately, positions himself perfectly for the next corner. Jordan Malcolm hovering there, waiting for the slightest slip up from Lavis right now. And then Aidan Cale. Cale's joined in, and the reason for that is that Tyson Broad has gone to pit lane. Uh-oh. Tyson Broad has been on pit road for the better part of 38 seconds. And that says to me that it's curtains for Broad. So it's all gone to hell for Orbit Drop there in this second race. Now, Cameron Dance leads as they come round to the end of the fourth lap of 13.
Just in the background, we just missed it there. There was Stefan and Tyson to come together somewhere.
I did miss it. I was looking at the timing screen, actually, to be fair, at that point. It's a good thing that I've got my 3 screens set up, Adam. It's a bad thing that I haven't got 3 sets of eyeballs to operate and have eyes on all 3 of them at the one time. But we'll fine-tune that setup in due course, I'm sure. Speaking of pit stops, in comes Stefan Lawrence. You mentioned him. And Kyle Greck as well. Bondi's already been in, so too Paul Woods. So already half the field has completed its pit stop. Woods, Nixon, Broad aren't going anywhere. They're done. So unfortunately, they led the field home in the first race. It was a trio of Orbit Drop there. Now it's a trio of them bringing up the tail of the field in the DNF ranks in this second heat. Porsche Cup racing, really looking forward to that from Imola. Coming up in, let's call it 5:30 Eastern Daylight Time, ladies and gentlemen. We've still got 18 minutes to run here yet, plus the server change and a whole lot more. Big dive from Aidan Cale. Gets by Jordan Malcolm. Thanks for coming. Forceful on the inside. Dance continues to hold off. Wavis Malcolm's gone around. Jordan Malcolm's had a spin in that tight, dicky section of the circuit we referenced at the top of the broadcast. I don't like that section of the circuit, and I doubt Jordan Malcolm will after that either. It's like yesterday, right? So obviously, knowing that we didn't have to broadcast last night, I sat here and watched the NASCAR crash. God only knows why, because it was the slowest NASCAR race in average speed terms ever in the history of NASCAR, and I don't know why they seem fascinated with the idea of having, well, firstly, a 2x2 rolling start when you can't go 3 wide, so that ruins any potential for overtaking opportunities first up. Secondly, on a circuit that's a quarter mile, therefore completely too short for those cars to do their thing properly on, because you hardly get out of first gear. I don't get it. It's a really strange one. But obviously there was nothing else on the telly yesterday, so it just seemed like an option of noise distraction in the background for me, with the dulcet tones of Mike Joy leading the broadcast for Fox yet again this season in NASCAR. Can't wait for August though, when Lee Diffie and NBC take over. Speaking of Diff, good luck to him. He's you won't see it here in Australia, you won't hear it, but Diffie, of course, calling the action for Milano Cortina for the NBC Sports Network with, oh, that's a nice bit of driving, actually. That's Stefan Lawrence getting by Eduardo Zamora and Bondi on the comeback trail as well. Best of those two are stopped. My colleague, my offsider here, Adam Lavis, he's out there in 6th at the moment. He's come in. Bondi's trying to get round the outside of Zamora, and will do so. Car looking better with a fast repair. Lawrence goes wide, and Bond and Zamora will pounce on that. But yeah, Stiffy, as he's known to his friends, Lee Diffie, will be calling all the action from the skeleton, the bobsleigh and the luge for NBC in America at the Winter Olympic Games. So good luck to him with that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Premier League and a few other things continuing as well this weekend, folks, with all eyes on Italy for the Winter Olympics starting tomorrow morning. GSRC action continuing tonight as well, and we've got all eyes at the moment on Cameron Dance here on the run down the back straight. Aidan Cale going with him. This is their opportunity. Obviously, Malcolm's made a mistake. You've gone to pit lane. This is their opportunity to have at it and see if they can complete the overcut. Into pit lane they come now. We're about to find out if the overcut will work for them, and if it does, oh geez, they're flirting with the lines there, aren't they? If the overcut works for them, what they can do with that to cement a 1-2 in the worst possible scenario where they've already lost their 3 teammates. Tyson Broad's parked up and done. Connor Nixon and Benny Woods are staying there. Just I guess to punish themselves, really. They're still stationary on pit road. Out they come. Dance gets Kale, and by a good margin too. Lavis gets them all. Lavis gets them all. Dance on the exit. Lavis will have the line at the next corner if he can keep the power down. Lavis has got his nose in front. So the undercut actually works better than the overcut again. That's exactly what I was trying to figure out. Brilliantly done from my colleague here for Aussie Races. But that's only part of the assignment conquered. Still a long way to go. 6.5 laps, in fact. This is far from done. And now the two teammates are going to have at it amongst themselves. That was the slowdown for Dance, was it? Yes, it was. Kale goes through.
No, he just bobbled in the long left-hander. He got a bad run, bad exit.
Either way, it gives you a nice little leg up, and you'll take that. And Aidan Kale is now at the head of that train, trying to reel you in. And if he can do that, it'll be the first repeat winner of the season in a sprint round. We had two different winners last week. But if Aidan Kale can get himself through here onto the tail of Adam Lavis, it's only 1.1 seconds. It's by no means a foregone conclusion. If Kale can reel Lavis in, tough assignment, Merc versus Mustang, then he's in the box seat to do the double. Lavis just can't afford a repeat of what we saw earlier, the slip and slide through, I think it was turn 4, was it not?
No, it's like turn 7, 8 or something. There's the long left.
Yep. Boy, oh boy. So yeah, a lot of news breaking here this afternoon, including Connor Nixon giving everybody an insight into what his YouTube handle is, so that now people can screenshot that and hold you to account if ever you go all keyboard warrior on us, Connor. That's good. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Cameron Dance, 4th at the moment. Aidan Kale, 3rd. Adam Lavis, 2nd. Jordan Malcolm continuing on with it. The only one not yet to complete a CPS, transit of the lane. As well, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking forward to the start of the MotoGP season. I mentioned the Australian Formula 1 Grand Prix earlier. That fortnight's time. So next weekend, obviously, round-the-clock classic, east of Orange, west of Lithgow. Then the weekend after, Australian Superbike and World Superbike kicks off at Phillip Island. Then the weekend after, that was a scrape of the wall from Aidan Kale, I reckon.
It was a scrape for Aiden, but a bit of a hard to hit for Cameron.
Yeah. Then the weekend after, IndyCar gets underway on the same weekend that NASCAR's at Kota, and MotoGP gets underway in Thailand. So some big sporting events coming up. I was having a look through. MotoGP have pretty well released their schedule now for the season ahead with regards to timings and everything else. The only one I haven't locked in, because I need a bit more info on it, is Qatar, because at the moment it's saying that it's going to be a daytime race at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in April, and I'm like, I'm not buying that, because normally that is a nighttime spectacle. Even though it's up against Bahrain and Formula 1, they've done that a couple of times now over the last few years. And there's been nothing come out in the press releases from MotoGP or Dorna or anyone else to suggest that that's going to be a daytime race. So I think that's just a misprint on their website at the moment. But then again, if it ends up being a case of they're doing that to avoid a clash with Formula 1, then you heard it here first. Because I went and did some digging, trying to plan the diary of what I'm going to watch on telly and when in 2026, essentially. Stumbled upon that bit of detail last night. Here's Aidan Kale having caught Adam Lavis, but not yet willing to take the punt and go through. Oh, Lavis lets him go, waves him by.
I wouldn't say that. It's more of a swing turn.
Oh, an understeer moment for the Mustang?
And I
thought that was rather gentlemanly, actually.
Yeah, I had a run there, and he squashed me against the wall. I had to lift off, and I gave Cameron a run.
Fair call. Keep your eyes peeled, folks. Oh, 2 for the price of 1 is Aiden Cale and Cameron Dance. Dance around the outside. We know that puts him on the inside for the left-hander. Job done. Assignment complete. Orbit drop their lead again in Miami. Oh, Aiden Cale's gone! Aiden Cale lets an almost sudden win slip right out of his grasp. And it's a Mark doing Porsche things this time round. Oh my goodness. Another one bites the dust. If it happens in 3s and 3 times bad luck, what's 4? And now Lavis back down the inside. The acceleration of the Mustang. Impressive. Dance is wide and Lavis is back in front on corrected order. Malcolm still hasn't stopped. 4 laps to go in Miami. And all hell is breaking loose in what is otherwise a tame and processional affair. I mean, you look beyond the top 5, there's nothing going on. But there is an active battle for first, an active battle for third on corrected order. And where Jordan Malcolm factors into this on the back of his mistake earlier, Christ only knows. Aiden Cale has fallen behind Stephen Lawrence and Craig Bond. That scrap continues. Is Bondy on track for a potential third here? It depends on the transit time for Jordan Malcolm. Have a look at Stephen Lawrence and Bondy having at it. There are only 2 battles on the racetrack, ladies and gentlemen. But that's all you need to make it interesting for us. Unbelievable. Down the inside, Lawrence. Through to 4th. So that displaces Bond and ruins any hope momentarily of Bondy in the podium finish. We'll wait and see. Still a fair bit to play out. But Lawrence has consolidated and got him covered off for the moment. Just by the by, I mentioned the World Superbikes heading to Phillip Island, of course, ladies and gentlemen. That schedule will see racing on Saturday, 2:30 for the Super Sports and 4:30 for the Supers, with Superpole for the World Superbike Championship from 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time on Sunday. Race 2 for the Superbikes from 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, and then, of course, the World Super Sports at 2:30 and the second World Superbike race at 4 o'clock. So that's a little bit later than recent years, where they've usually been about a 3 o'clock start for the main race, but this year 4 o'clock. So coverage running through to, oh, well, I'd say just beyond 5 o'clock on Fox Sports. Also an Australian Superbike round thrown into that, but I haven't seen the actual schedule for them as yet, and you'll be able to watch them on Stan Sport and SBS, but it will be delayed broadcast probably the week after. Cameron Dance all over the back of Adam Lavis like a cheap suit. He'd be getting sick of the view of the rear of your Mustang at the moment. He's been subjected to it for a while now, Adam.
Well, yeah, the plus side, yeah, it's tricky part is he's always behind me in the corners, which is where he's faster. Then we get to these nice straight bits, which is where the Mustang comes on its own.
And that's really the critical bit of detail there. The fact that the Mustang has great straight line poke.
But it only has it if you get the exit right, because it's also really easy to light the tyres up in it. So if you get too greedy, you don't get that advantage.
No, absolutely not. Through we go. Lavis still holds on. Dance trying to get round the outsides. But that Mustang's wide enough that once you get through to a certain point, it's a one-line groove and you just got to follow through. See, that's what I mean. It's Mickey Mouse. You've got to follow through because there's no possible way to go 2 by 2. Shut up, Jonesy. Trying to keep the audience engaged somehow, mate. Although that being said, that's a trait I've had for 30 years. It's not just been since I've been in broadcast as a commentator. And I'm not sure you would find a girl as passionate about that as I am. Trust me.
I'm surprised Bonnie didn't go for the move there. He had the run.
Absolutely, he had the run. He had the run. He gave Lawrence a little bit of a tap on the way through, actually. On the run to the main straight. Across the start-finish line we go again. Oh, hang on. Hang on. What's going on here?
Cameron Dance
What's going on here? Dance has made a mistake. Malcolm's gone through to second. Malcolm's completed his pit stop and has come back out in second despite the spin. So Lavis has breathing space. Well, here we go. Would this be a first, Adam? Would this actually be a first? You've got this and one more lap to go. Would this be a first that you've come in here and produced and directed a replay broadcast in which you've actually triumphed?
Possibly. I don't recall doing it before.
No, I don't recall it either.
But that hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened yet. I don't want to put the mock on it, but it's looking pretty good. 1.6 seconds. Where the hell did that come from? Jordan Malcolm has wedged himself out in between Lavis and Dance. And Dance has gone from being a potential threat to you to almost putting himself out of contention for top two, having to consolidate for third. Well, we'll have a look at the highlights and the replays at the end and see exactly what unfolded there for Cameron Dance. But that's a strange one. Was it a slowdown?
I don't know. I think he bombs the hairpin. I think, but I'm taking a minute of the one that Jordan passed him, so I'll try and remember to use that in the thing.
Right. Copy. Copy.
Annoyingly, they're coming back at me.
True. And the slipstream effect here, I mean, normally, Bondi. Oh, Jesus. Bondi's lost himself any hope of a top five finish there, ladies and gentlemen. Here comes Cameron Dance back down the inside. It's 1.3. Lavis to Dance to Malcolm. White flag flies in Miami. Yes, white flag. Barney's actually on deck. One more time around. Here comes Malcolm back down the inside. Oh, chopped across. Cameron Dance on the defensive.
Well, they're both gone deep.
They're both 1 at 1. Dance is on the AstroTurf. Malcolm's looped it again. Game over. Lavis is your victor, surely. Surely there can't be that much carnage on this final lap. Everybody needs to just calm it down a tad, a notch, and cruise home. Survival of the fittest. Malcolm with a second spin. Dance with no hope, I would imagine, of reeling in 1.6 seconds on Adam Lavis. Stephen Lawrence now putting Jordan Malcolm under pressure for a podium finish. How quickly the tide turns and how quickly this game changes. What the hell? Unbelievable. Are you kidding me? That is ridiculous. So now Malcolm and Lawrence arguing it out through the final sector for the final spot on the podium. Lavis is going to chalk up a victory in Disruptive Labs GT4. It will be his first win of the campaign. All set up beautifully with the invert pole position. And Lavis is going to put himself right up there in championship podium contention here. Oz E-Racers on top. The championship so far may well have been dominated by the by the Mercs and the Porsches, but finally the Mustang's going to have something to cheer about and a victory on home turf for the manufacturer. Adam Lavis gets the job done on the newest circuit on the server. Second to Cameron Dance. Malcolm holds off Lawrence to salvage another podium finish, to redeem himself after the 7th place earlier. He keeps his top 10 finishing streak alive. 4th to Stefan Lawrence, 5th to Aiden Carl, Eduardo Zamora, Justin Gahir, Craig Bond, then Paul Wood and Shane Beaumont. What the hell? Only 10 finishes in all of that. Kyle Greck didn't come home, nor did Tyson Broad, Connor Nixon or Ben Woods. It was a trifecta for the Orbit Drop Bear stable in terms of wipeout in the early stages, and Kyle Greck's race didn't really get off to a firing start either. Got left behind really early. Yeah, funny, Jonesy. Funny. So that must be really. I know you've got to focus on playing the interviews here for the replays for us here, Adam Lavis. But really, that's a nice little confidence booster for you. I mean, finishes a 7th, 8th, 2 tenths, and now a 1st. About time you got the pace and the luck and be able to turn it into a result, mate.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was a good thing. It was a bit of a stressful race. It was sort of only halfway through that I realised a bunch of the Orbit guys got taken out here. I didn't realise. I was wondering why I was still out in front for so long, and then I realised they were out. So then I was like, oh, hang on, there might be a chance here.
Yep, and obviously we'll see a little bit later on. But the second incident for Jordan Malcolm, the first incident probably made it an uphill battle for him, but the second confirmed that was the nail in his coffin. Bondi got squeezed down here. That was where he sustained his damage. That was forceful on the inside from the Orbit Drop Bear stable. Then, of course, Woodsy got poleaxed. That was where Connor Nixon and Ben Woods met their fate. We were riding on board, chasing still at that point. Either way,
he's probably missed.
Stefan Lawrence, that was the contact, right? That was what set off the chain reaction there. So Stefan Lawrence has limped to pit lane with a broken car and still managed to come home with the top 5 finish. Not bad. Not bad. Jordan Malcolm all over the back of the Merc of Aiden Kale, and unfortunately brought himself undone really because he was almost interlocked. The rear of that car was inside, the front of that car was inside the rear of the Orbit Drop Bear entry. This was Shane Beaumont. Geez, the curves, they don't like being ridden around here, it would seem. There was a savage price to pay if you did ride the curbs this evening. Aiden Kale, that was what tripped him up. Again, just trying to take a little bit too much speed through that section. Threw the lead away. Then Cameron Dance, watch this. So that looks like he had a slowdown to serve. So he's come out of there, he's gone left.
I'm just trying to find the right spotting on. I got 3-1.
Poppy, you're right. So let's have a look at this, because this was coming down towards the start of the final lap. You were under threat at this point. You only had 1 and a bit seconds on them at this point. They were still within striking distance.
I think I remember now. It's back to the previous corner. I think he got into the rear of me and out of the tightness up here.
Copy that. So we're just watching them reverse at a very, very good speed, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be that curb there. Did he get a slowdown for the? Yeah, he brought himself undone there.
No slowdown, just stuck there.
Munted the chicane bob up. That'll do it. And got a slowdown as a result. Because you watch this, at the end of this back straight, we're right on board with him. Let's just stay with this. We've got the time. We've only been here for 4.5 hours already. And when he comes out of that corner, right, he's observing a slowdown. There's no way to put a Malcolm past him that quickly.
Yeah, maybe you got to slow down on that the tight. Maybe you got the Max Verstappen bollard. Yeah.
So, and that's what Jones is alluding to, and that's why Jordan Malcolm's been able to go through. Then there's Craig Bond and Stefan Lawrence, and Bondi's he did what you did earlier in the race, just had the rear end slide out from under him. But again, it was a case of carrying too much speed into the corner as well. So tough lesson to learn for Bondi. And then Jordan Malcolm. This was the moment. Oh, it's hard to watch. That was the moment where third or second, actually, really, truly slipped out of his grasp. So, the first win from Mustang this season. Jordan Malcolm won the opening race of the season at Circuit Villeneuve. Last week, of course, Matt Bailey in the Porsche. And in the second race, it was Lachlan Pryke in the Merc. Tonight, the first race, of course, went to Aidan Cale in the Merc, but finally, Adam Lavis gets Mustang on the board, gets Ford on the board, gets a manufacturer that isn't German on the board in this series. And they've been there or thereabouts, but again, luck falls his way. And sometimes you just need to take that luck when it's presented to you, because it doesn't always work out that way.
No, you got to take advantage of the situation when it's handed to you, and try and maximise on the opportunity when it arises.
4 hours and 25 minutes in we are to this afternoon's marathon, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you're enjoying it as much as we're enjoying bringing it to you. 32 points the advantage for Jordan Malcolm now. So he's extended it, and at the same time, Adam Lavis has leapfrogged everybody. Matt Bailey's dropped down, Craig Bond's jumped up. There's a lot of moving and shaking in that leaderboard. Ryan Jones didn't catch the flight to Miami. Hopefully we'll see him at Monza. Adam Lavis, 32 points to deficit. He's got 3 on Paul Wood and 9 on Craig Bond. Matt Bailey makes up the top 5. 57 points covers the top 5 at the moment. Again, Matt's not my strong point. Shane Beaumont and Stephen Lawrence, Stephen Gould, Ryan Jones and Justin Kahir, the top 10. Only 10 finishes in that second race, so only 10 points paying positions. The schedule of what's ahead, Monza is next. We've got an interesting schedule ahead of us here, because we go to Monza for 40 next week. That'll be good. That'll be well worth the price of admission. Races 7 and 8 get us to the halfway mark. That's from Portland. Again, a very technical and relatively tight, narrow racetrack, but a good one at that. Then to the Algarve for 40 minutes. Then to Mount Panorama for 40 minutes, which is always a must-watch. Then to the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya for 40 minutes as well. That'll be a bit hit and miss, I think. That's more of a circuit that lends itself to open wheel racing and motorcycle racing more so than tin tops. But anyway, then to Alton Park for sprint racing, and the final round of the season of a 14-race campaign takes us to Germany. So we'll do a little bit of globe trotting, but the last 3 rounds keep us centrally located in Europe. And 3 different formats there in the last 3 weeks. Very nicely done. We do it with thanks to Disruptive Labs, Waste Options, Trophy AI, merch.tgsrci.com and Flash Graphics. Reminder, GTE tonight is live, and it will be in about 3 hours' time. A bat and change between Lavis and Baldwin and Caban and Banks. It'll be Joe and Liam with you this evening for all the action there from the Adelaide Parkland Street Circuit. We look forward to that. I just had a chill go down my spine just mentioning Adelaide for some reason. But anyway, I hope you're enjoying it. This is our Friday afternoon encore, replay, whatever you want to call it. It's the second leg of a 3-part marathon today. It's like a triathlon, really. We've done the swim. Now we're doing the cycle. Then we'll do the run. The GTE comes up later this evening. Next, however, after a quick break and a drink cup refill on my part at least, it will be a trip to the Imola circuit, the second time in as many weeks. Stay in Italy for Porsches. It's a 40-minute affair. We are bringing in the elite split, but I take it we'll also take in the results from the Open and the Amateur as well, remembering that the Porsches are now a level 3 tier offering with the recent surge in entries in that series. So we'll take a break. We'll come back to the Italian region of the world, which is the center of the sporting universe at the moment, with the Winter Olympics starting tomorrow morning, off to Imola, and 40 minutes of Porsche racing to bring the curtain down on Friday afternoon motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club right after this. leg 4 and race 8 of an enormous afternoon on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club sees us go back to Italy, to the Imola circuit, the Emilia-Romagna region, the Autodromo, Enzo e Dino Ferrari, and our coverage of round 3 of the GSRC Porsche Cup for this term. Good to have your company wherever you go. Tuning in all around Australia or indeed the world this Friday afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Zach Cabe and Adam Lavis with you. I think we're very happy to know that the checkered flag is within sight, ladies and gentlemen. Only 40 minutes worth of racing to bring you here, and that'll bring the curtain down on what has been a marathon 5.5 hours for us by the time we get in and out and do all the I dotting and T crossing and housekeeping that we need to do at the end of the broadcast. Adam, before we go into the race, let's just have a look at the circuit, and then I want to elaborate on what we were saying earlier for the benefit of anyone that might be just joining us that wasn't with us last week. Have a look at that for a picture firstly. Visibility not the strongest at this stage of the day in this period of time. It's a 30-minute qualifying session. That's what it looks like at about the 10.5-minute mark, ladies and gentlemen. And I can tell you that it's a very, very strong and healthy Porsche Cup field in the elite split tonight. But that brings me to the next point here, mate. And I know we're pushing 20 to 6 on the East Coast, 20 to 3 on the West Coast, and 20 to 8 in New Zealand. We are into somewhat uncharted territory as far as our Porsche offering is concerned. It's nice to go back to, the future with 2 splits, and we did that last week and the week before. But now, so popular is this form of racing, and this category in particular, that we've had to expand again. And it's the first for the Porsches.
Indeed, yep. We've always had the 2 splits. I think we might have had 1 split at one point, but it's pretty much 2 splits. It started as 2 servers, went back to multi-class for ages. And yeah, with the new car, lots of talk over the break. And it seems the way this new car drives is a little bit more exciting, a little bit more grab by the scruff and they can throw it around, so people are enjoying it a bit more. So it's got more bums on seats, and that's shown by the in-swell of drivers. Given that we've had in 2 rounds, we've had almost 110 drivers total. So that's time to break them up again into the 3 splits. I can quickly sort of give you a show here. Hang on.
Excellent. We love a bit of show and tell on a Friday afternoon, mate. Go for it.
Yeah, so here's all the elite guys. And then you got some open guys. And you got the new guys in here. So, yeah.
Hell.
This list is the everyone's. This is all the people.
Yeah. Mate,
this list
marvellous.
This list is just this season.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 112 total drivers so far.
Yeah. That's incredible. I mean, it's great that the club has had such growth year on year, and that this category in particular has had such a great response from within that cohort as well. It's really promising times for Porsche racing in the iRacing world. 4.86 kilometres this circuit. It is a lightly misty sort of day in Italy. At least it's not snowing, I guess, although the Tempest weather system hasn't necessarily mastered that climate just yet, although it's very appropriate with this time of the year, given that it's absolutely bucketing down in snow in Milano Cortina, where the Winter Olympics are getting underway as we speak. We're on the full configuration here because there is only one. The Italian region, the Imola circuit, 19 degrees, the track temp, 18 the ambient, and 42 metres of altitude. 11 kilometre an hour winds as well, 95% humidity. So all the right ingredients are there for what should be a fascinating race in the GSRC Porsche Cup. And that's the lay of the land at the moment. The elite split sees Andrew Dyson on top by 12 of Corey Lazarus, Matt Dench, Marcus Watson, who's got a couple of strikes next to his name, it's fair to say. They were hedging bets yesterday in the Porsche Elite Cup server, I think I'm right in saying, about how long Watto would last before he's put in the naughty corner after getting a couple of safety licence point penalties last week. Then Aidan Luthwaite, Matt Bailey, Willie Blair, Jeff Adams, Hayden Smith and Ryan Jones, the top 10. Good to see Jonesy actually made it to Italy. He didn't make it to Miami, but he did make it to Imola. Andrew Dyson, his teammate, and looking the goods as far as qualifying is concerned here. We'll have a look at the grid for you in just a moment. And we can do that now, actually. Good to see Jeff Adams being promoted up into the elite split as well. He's on grid, ready to go. So too Andrew Dyson and Luke Page, the front row, Corey Lazarus and Ryan Jones. Ryan Jones from third and Corey Lazarus the second row. Then Willie Blair, Hayden Smith, Pat Klein, Reece Keane, Oscar Haynes. And good to see Jackson Dial back on the grid as well. 2 o'clock local server time, 11 km/h winds in a southwesterly direction. 19 degrees the ambient, 21 on track, but cloudy, dry and clear as well. That mist, that fog that had descended on the circuit for qualifying has disappeared and dispersed. Josh Fitt, Ben Patterson. Good to see Benny back on the grid. There we go. First time for everything this year. Matty Bailey, Marcus Watson from the 7th row. Ben Snell, Alex Barrell on the 8th. Paul Rogers, Aidan Schweikert the 9th. Jeff Adams and Alan Dawson from 10. From 11, it's Luke Page, Matt Avenel from 12. Marcus Cook, Andrew Neal from 13. Derek Fitzgerald, Rodney Golan from 14. Mark Heppel and Michael Adams from 15. Craig Bond and Guy Leach. From 16, Andrew Smith and Nick Wood. Although Glenn Arnott and Jake Humphries are showing in behind there, but Humphries will take to the grid. Arnott will not, because Arnott's in race control for us, I do believe I'm right in saying. That is a fairly good-looking grid, ladies and gentlemen, a fairly healthy grid, but as is the case when we go to Road Atlanta and other venues, with an off-campus sort of set up for the start-finish area, half the field's backed up around the final corner before the control line to get themselves underway. Good thing we've got lights around there. Good thing Barney's around there as well. Actually, we need 2 Barneys at this circuit, don't we? We need a start Barney and a finish Barney because the lines are in different places. But we're ready to fire nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen. This is race number 5 of 16, round 3 of 10. GSRC Porsche Cup Elite Split for you, with the AM Split and Open Split to feature on broadcast in the weeks ahead. They're off, they're racing, chopping across immediately. Oscar Haynes got the jump on Reece Keane, goes up to 8th spot. 2 by 2 on the run down towards the first corner, but Dyson's got the jump on everybody. Now, can he repeat the heroics of Monza last week? There goes Andrew Neal. And just waltz by and blitz the competition on the fuel save strat. I think we've found a new fuel save master in this club. His name is Andrew Dyson. He did it last term in GT4. He won 3 championships last term. He's out in pursuit of one of the main ones, one of the prime time offerings tonight and this season. Remembering that he won all the entree slots last year. He hasn't swept us clean of the prime time offerings just yet. It's always been the entree. He won Trans Am, he won the Toyota 86s, he won GT4. Now he's out in pursuit of one of the grand prizes in GSRC competition. One of our mainstay regular offerings, the Porsche Cup. Have a look at this. They're all running the Mobil 1 livery, I love it. The Mobil 1 windscreen banner. That's fantastic. I didn't realise we'd done a deal with Mobil, but anyway, that's all right.
I think there might be one of the default ones in the actual sim. We haven't got a series sponsor, so we haven't made club specific ones. But I see good old Summit have put the old sponsor on there themselves, so they got the pants there showing some Pantec support.
That's it. That's it. Andrew Dyson, Luke Page, Ryan Jones, Corey Lazarus, top 4 after the opening lap. Down the main straight we go. To turn 1. Overtaking opportunities, you've got to work hard for them around here. Oh, Willie Blair's off the road. Willie Blair is off the road. He's going to lose a couple of spots. Smith and Haynes will go through. Klein and Dial as well. So too Watson. Blair drops to 10th. Blair drops to 10th. Costly mistake in the early stages. In fact, it's now 12th. At insult to injury. Dial's got past Klein. Jacko Dial's up 3 spots already. difficult racetrack, right? Again, it's one of those give or take sort of racetracks. Monza, love it. Imola, hit and miss. Sometimes it'll throw up an absolute ball terror of a race, and others it'll throw up an absolute snore. Again, it's very much a vehicle selective sort of racetrack as to whether it offers up something tantalising or something flat and stale. And that's based on enough evidence of watching Formula One and other things around here over the years, over the course of time. The reality of the matter is, though, Adam Lavis, because of the idiosyncrasies of this racetrack, overtaking opportunities do come, despite there obviously being enough room to work with and a long straight in which to make slipstream work in your favour. Overtaking opportunities still come at a premium.
They do, yeah, but the big long run down the front straight into the first chicane is obviously the most prime spot. But there is a few other places around the track where people can easily make a mistake and get a run. And you're still got to be very committed to get it done, because it can be tricky to pull it off without making a mistake yourself.
Indeed. Dyson, Jones, Lazarus, Page, Smith, Haynes, Dial, Watson, Klein and Keane, the top 10. So it's all elite this week. No confusion here. All these guys, I don't envy Adam Lavis the amount of admin work he had to do between rounds to establish the 3 splits evenly, especially with such an arrival in droves of numbers into the open split last week. We brought that to you about 3 hours ago. But obviously some of the open guys have gone up and a lot have gone down to form the AM split. So just like GT3, 3 servers, 3 classes, 3 different championships on offer. Dyson, Lazarus and Page. Page has been displaced. So Lazarus through the second. Up and 4th from the grid. Good start early on. Haynes Dial up 3 spots. Watson from 14th up to 8th already. Up 6. Pat Klein in there looking to follow him through. Lights ablaze early on. Sun's not setting that early, boys. You're not in Queensland. Hayden Smith in 4th. Had to get that cheeky little subtle side swipe in. Oh, that's right, I was mentioning earlier. If you're in support of the concept, right, I'm going to plaster the link on my socials between now and the end of the financial year when the petition closes for signatures. If you're in support of the concept and don't sign that petition, unfortunately for me, you end up being part of the problem. Because you've got to speak with your signature in this case, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to knock the door down until the so-and-so's in charge, the powers that be, those valuably well-elected public citizens, actually, for once in their life, respond and act on the discussion rather than just continuing to sweep it under the carpet. Corey Lazarus down the inside. Luke Page is trying to get back to second, and Lazarus isn't having a bar of it. But in the meantime, look what it's done at the front. Andrew Dyson has bolted. 3.7 to the good already, Dyso. That is madness. My colleague and occasional stirring friend, Ryan Jones, can verify the differences and the advantages and the benefits of that whole thing, because he's seen it on both sides of the fence. He's lived up here in the slow and steady state. He now bases himself in progressive civilization, which is now slowly but surely weaning itself out of tennis mode and getting ready for AFL season. 6.5 minutes gone, lap 4, a minute 41, the standing time there. So if I'm looking at that, a minute 45, we're looking at 23, 24 laps, Adam? Thank you. Across the line we go. 7 minutes in the books, 4 laps gone. Well, close enough to 7 minutes in the books. But yeah, looking at 23, 24 laps here tonight, folks. 1 minute 40 and 2 is 3:20, 1 is 5. So 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 3 is 6. So 6 laps in 10 minutes, and then obviously times that by 4. That's how we land on the bingo number of 23, 24. The only uncertainty is the amount of time beyond that threshold of 141.316. At 1 minute 40 is where we're trying to draw the numbers from. 1 minute 41 means 1.3 seconds is lost to the cause, plus the transit of pit lane. So if all that extra time, plus the transit of the lane adds up to beyond a minute 40, that's where it'll slip from 24 laps to 23 laps. So keep your eyes peeled on that. But that's what we're working towards at the moment. And we'll start to get an indication very shortly as to where we're at, strategically speaking, in terms of the fuel window. How early can you come in, top up and get home? How late can you leave that obligation as well? In already is Ben Snell, unfortunately. Josh Fitt too. And they're parked up and done for the night. Luke Patch sitting back of the field at the moment. We had non-starters. Guy Leach, Ben Patterson and Marcus Cook. So all that has resulted in some interpositional squabbling and seesawing before we even really got going here.
Jack Humphries at the moment.
He started rear of grid. So he's up +8 already, going well. Alex Barrelon now, 11th spot, on the cusp of the top 10, on the fringe, on the bubble. Page and Lazarus still side by side. They've got Smith and Jones for company as well. Neal and Wood, Fitzgerald into pit lane. And here's Barrelon. Under pressure from Schweikert and Blair. Blair, of course, will come back from that earlier incident. Through they go. Down the back straight. Dyson, Lazarus, Page, Smith, then Jones, then Haynes, then Dial, then Watson, then Keane, and then, of course, Klein, the top 10. 9 minutes gone. We're on lap 6. Copy. Thank you, Adam Lavis. Good to see the calculator is still working. I found myself having to write more notes for myself, more reminders as to what I need to do, when, where, why and how. And even then I've been making notes for things to do after the broadcast once we're done here so that I don't forget. It'd good to see the head is still working, the brain's still working for mathematical equations. There's Nick Wood down the inside. That's not my strong point, but it seems to go all right in these corridors. Mark Heppel, of course, down in 23rd position at the moment. So a couple of these guys featured prominently in our broadcast earlier with the AM split. The open split, which has now become the open and the AM. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. And Mark Heppel there in 23rd position. Actually, let me ask you this, Adam Lavis. How close, because obviously there was a fair discussion had about going to 3 separate divisions and therefore 3 separate servers. But how close was the club to thinking about the idea of having, pro and pro-am in one, essentially, and am in the other, or elite and open in one and am in the other?
No, we would have been in the same boat with one server being full. So the idea, yes, it was either going to be 2 trying to even the splits out, which would have been about mid-40s each. Schweikert has a big slide there. Which is still a nightmare. Yep. Which is like a good healthy grid, but it has the potential on certain tracks to be a bit of a nightmare for RC especially. Or try and go 3 30-car fields, which seem to be the more sort of logical option. Given, as I said earlier in the day, that there's now almost as many total participants in the Porsche Cup as GT3, and GT3's been. 3 class winners. Matt Bailey's gone. Oh, God. Dear, oh, dear. Another one that missed the flight to Miami. Matt Bailey is gone. On the tow road, on pit road, and done in Imola. In Italy. Wowee. Unlucky for Matt Bailey. Luke Page holding on to second. Now doing so against... Oh, hang on. So there's Oscar Haynes in the gravel as well. But what on earth has happened to Corey Lazarus to end up down there as well? Because he's now in 8th. He's down 4 spots from the last time we checked in that leading pack of cars. So Page, Smith and Jones are now squabbling over second. And Lazarus has been left out of it. Dial is now 5th. Watson is 6th. What on earth is going on here? Wow. Give me strength. Trying to figure all this out. Marcus Watson sits 6th.
Marcus Watson is up on the outside of Jack O'Donnell and going to 5th, and he made that look too easy. Was that strategic, or was that Dial serving a slowdown? 12 minutes gone, so much to pick apart already.
So
it's only lap 8.
It looks like on the last lap somewhere, Corey and Luke Page had a bit of a attempted passing each other, and at some point, it's I think Corey's gone for a move, got the move done, but then either gone deep or had a bit of a contact, because then he's got passed by a bunch of cars afterwards. So we'll see it after the in the roundup.
Copy that. We pick up Rodney Golan there in 14th spot. Andrew Dyson fastest out of the race so far. 141, 109. Luke Page, Hayden Smith, Ryan Jones. The lead is already 6.5 seconds. Already 6.5 seconds. Just let that sink in for a moment.
It's safe to say that this new sort of evolution of car is definitely suiting Andrew Dyson's driving style. He's really gelled with it quite nicely over the past 3 weeks.
Yep, and there was always going to be winners and losers in such a seismic shake-up and shift in Porsche racing as what this new car was going to bring with it, and that's Oscar Haynes down the inside, very nicely done. There was a lot of opposition, wasn't there, Adam Lavis? I mean, you've got to play with the car that you dealt and work with what's presented to you, but there was a fair bit of opposition from the previous cohort of drivers, those that were here for the last incarnation of the 992.1 last year in Term 4. They weren't fans of the introduction of those creature comforts that we so often associate with GT3. The general consensus was that you may as well just run 2 GT3 series.
Yeah, that was all the pre-release worries. Was with the fact that it's going to have ABS and traction control. They thought that's just basically making it a GT3 light car. But yeah, like once the car's been dropped, it does have those features, but a lot of the guys have them set pretty low, so they're not that invasive with the driving. But I think it's more the fact that the car just the feel and the way that you drive the car now is just so much different, a bit more, as I said, a bit more grab it by the scruff and actually throw it around, whereas the other one really had a special, unique driving style to get the pace out of it. Whereas, this one you can be a bit more sort of rough and tumble and get behind it and have a good time and just really try and force the car to do what you want it to do.
Indeed. Got to wrestle with it a little bit still. Still got to treat it with a bit of respect during the early stages as tyres come up to temperature as well. We've seen evidence of that already. It's all happening here. Hope you're enjoying it wherever you're tuning in. Around Australia, a Friday afternoon into a Friday evening on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Now, if you're standing by for news, that will still happen, but it'd be somewhat beneficial to you if you set that to record and go back and watch it after the fact, so you can stay with this, because this is going to be lively and exciting for the next 24 minutes or so. That is if you're in New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania or the ACT, the progressive and civilised markets. South Australian viewers, of course, will probably get you out to the news on time, actually, so that'll be good news. Western Australia, don't worry about it. Queensland, you're 112 years and 1 hour behind, so who cares? Same applies to Darwin, but at least it makes more geographical sense. In Western Australia, well, you're still enjoying lunch, so continue to do so with us here on the platforms of the GSRC. Winter Olympics coverage kicking in from 7:30 Eastern Daylight Time as well, and more GSRC competition from 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time with live Friday Night Motorsport. Liam Banks, Joe Baldwin with you on the streets of Adelaide for GTE. All that and more to look forward to this evening. A lot ahead on what's been a very big afternoon.
And to add to the point with Dyson gelling well with his car, another person that's really gel with, Jeffrey Adams here. Obviously, we've seen him dominating the open class since it started, and it's putting him into the pro split, the elite split. And he's obviously now fighting for top 10s in the elite split. And he was he was feeling a bit singled out, he reckons, when we actually did the three-way split, because he focused on the fact that he was the only open driver to get promoted, but ignored the fact that there was also another 8 new drivers that also got promoted at the same time. So yeah, he was going on about being singled out, but it wasn't the case. He just had that much of a pace advantage of everyone else that he was the one to come up, and it's been evident here with the fact that he's on the cusp of a top 10 result here.
Indeed it is. And I mean, Jeff is no slouch. He's a good little pedaler. He's proved that on a few occasions in the past, particularly in open wheelers, but he's slowly but surely becoming a would-be contender in some of the tin top offerings as well. Nice to see hard work and persistence, preparation being rewarded. And as you chip away at it, you know, Adam, I mean, we know as well, we've seen it in action for 6 years now. There's so many drivers that have thrived on the competition around them. They've used everyone like the Dentures and the Lazaruses of the world, and now the Dysons too, as goalposts, you know, in terms of trying to set themselves goals and give themselves something to strive for and aim towards. And the beneficiary of that, as Aiden Schweikert comes to pit lane, is the level of professionalism and the level of competition that you get by turning up to go and have a steer on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. The standard, the quality of our drivers, tenfold improvement over the course of 5 years.
And the ironic thing is he's currently battling. Oh, we've got someone ahead of spun. Who's that?
Trouble.
Patrick
Klein, off the road and done. He'll get back on, but he's going to drop 5 or 6 spots.
Yes, as I said, the interesting here with this battle is Jeffrey here is fighting with Rodney Gollan, who, as we were talking about last season, be one of the biggest sort of like improvers in the elite split itself. How he's been going from being that sort of mid black guy to sneaking some good results, especially in the sprint rounds, and also the fact that they're revisiting their rivalry from the 2 Formula Ford seasons where they were both top contenders when we had the Formula Fords going. So yes, they find themselves back on track together in a totally different car.
Luke Page still seeing off the threat of Hayden Smith. Jonesy's only about a second away here. So we're not without a chance of factoring in the equation as this race plays out. Past the half race distance marker, ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Dyson on lap 13, still leading 6.5 seconds. You just saw a very brief glimpse of him, bottom of shot, over Luke Page, Hayden Smith and Ryan Jones. That battle for second. Corey Lazarus 6 seconds back in 5th spot. Not often you say that about the former 4-time #1. Reese Keane, Alex Barrelon, Paul Rogers, Jeff Adams, Rodney Gollan, Andrew Smith, Pat Klein, Jack Humphries, Oscar Haynes, Andrew Neal, Jack O'Donnell, and Marcus Watson. In all of that, I have not mentioned, I don't think I've mentioned the name of one M. Dench. So Dench not on the grid tonight. So it's interesting because that again throws the cat amongst the pigeons, because you're going to have guys, when we get towards the end of the season, throwing the hat in the ring, try and be competitive and try and have a crack. But they're also not going to be factoring into championship equation either. So a lot to consider when we get to the back end of the season. Uh-oh, trouble. Saw that bottom of shot. Aiden Schweikert freshly out of the pit lane and gone. Also, the other big news this week, as Aiden Schweikert has company there in the form of Mark Heppel going out in the sympathy spin.
That's the one you hit. That's the one you're under.
Copy. well, I was going to say first shot I only saw Schweikert, and then next minute I've looked up at the screen again, and there's Heppel there with him. That's a bit off-putting, isn't it?
Yeah, Schweikert went for a move in the car ahead of him, and Heppel was ahead of that car, and it's the old, as you've got moved done on one car, the other car's in the road, and they've just come together on the apex.
Interesting news this week as well. Yeah, go for it, mate.
Rodney Gollan's got past Jeffrey.
Yep. So, and then he's bowled it wide. In fact, they were both wide. Gollan's got up into 9th, and Adams is 10th. But we're at that point of the race now, critical juncture. Top 12 yet to stop, top 13 yet to stop, plus Nick Wood in 16th, plus Mark Heppel in 25th. Everybody else has completed that requirement. They've ticked that box. Ben Snell back out there after 2 3/4 minutes on the tow rope. He's a lap down. Willie Blair done for the night. Matt Bailey, Josh Fitt, all done for the night. So only 27 finishers on track here at this point in time, vying for 25 points paying position. So there could be a little bit of drama late in the mix here as those championship points go on the line. Hayden Smith, we're riding on board with him. He's chasing Luke Page. He's got Ryan Jones in behind him. Across the start-finish line will go 16.5 minutes to go. I just, one of the other bits of news and information that came across the desk earlier this week, the fact that NASCAR have changed after a very successful few years of running NASCAR racing on the Charlotte Roval. They've opted now not to do that for the October Chase for the Cup race, which is now going to be on the Oval. So I don't know why, but they've obviously got something against Shane Van Gisbergen coming in and cleaning up on road courses. They're doing their level best to eliminate road courses from the schedule right now. That'll annoy him, that'll annoy us, I'm sure, right around Australia, because there's only so much oval racing I can watch before I've had enough, and it becomes a little bit too monotonous for me. And yet the audacity of the Fox commentators had yesterday during the clash to say that they're the best drivers in the world that are steering their NASCARs. I mean, okay, if you say so, put them on a road course and then listen to the amount of whinging and moaning and whistling they do. I love road course, don't get me wrong, the spectacle of the Daytona 500, love that, the noise and the crashing and everything else that goes with it. But just, yeah, some ovals just don't cut it as far as entertainment is concerned. But apparently the Americans just love it. Must be something about their simplicity as a species, I don't know.
No, it's like
Andrew Dyson, Luke Page, Hayden Smith and Ryan Jones, the top 4. Go for it, Adam.
Well, it's like the World Series and the Super Bowl. They're comparing with the Super Bowl. The halftime show isn't American enough. So that's
apparently the world just revolves around them, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Dear oh dear. And all the meanwhile, we're bracing for the onset of World War III. Oh, sorry. Did I say that out loud? Oh, I'm sorry. Probably not the only one thinking it, though. 14 1/4 minutes to go. Andrew Dyson, Luke Page, Hayden Smith, the top 3. Ryan Jones, Corey Lazarus and Reece Keane, the top 6 then. Alex Barrelon, Paul Rogers, Jeff Adams and Rodney Gollan, the top 10. Hope you're enjoying it. Friday afternoon motorsport, and as live replay of Thursday night motorsport on platforms with Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Race number 8 of our program as Adam and I launch into our 6th hour in the booth this afternoon. Into this evening, a very good evening to those of you in New Zealand, where it's currently 8 minutes past 8. Good afternoon to those of you on the West Coast, where of course it is only 8 minutes past 3. Yeah, exactly. Late lunch, but still lunchtime. And of course, 8 minutes past 6 in the progressive and civilised parts, of course, of the eastern seaboard. Dyson, Page, Smith, Jones, Lazarus. That's an interesting top 5 at the moment. But what sting in the tail are we awaiting here in this 3rd round and 5th race of the Porsche Cup campaign? 2 sprint rounds so far, compelling viewing. Really enjoyed that. Of course, Andrew Dyson winning both the feature races so far in those sprint rounds. And we've had a good mix of competition in the mix as far as the top 10 has been concerned, but Up until this point, only 2 different race winners because Corey Lazarus has won the sprint race in both rounds 1 and 2. And by the looks of the form guide and the way things are playing out, we're 12.5 minutes away from Andrew Dyson securing his 3rd win of the campaign. And we'll still only have 2 race winners in the Porsche Elite Cup for this campaign. Dyson, Page, Smith, Jones, Lazarus, the top 5. Keane, Barrelon, Rogers, then Adams, then Gollan, then Klein, then Smith in pit lane. And then there were 12. As in 13, I should say. 13 competitors left to come down pit road. And only 12 minutes for them to do it. We're about to finish lap 17. Which will give us 7 laps to go this time by the line. Andrew Dyson, the race leader. Luke Page, their 2nd spot. The margin out to 8 seconds. Or 7 3/4. Let's just round it up for the sake of making things a little bit easier for ourselves. Into pit lane comes Luke Page. So he's in. Hayden Smith and Ryan Jones zag and stay out there. But they're going to try and complete the overcut and hope that they can pip Luke Page, who's on the undercut strategy here. Oh no, Corey Lazarus is off the road. Corey Lazarus is off the road. That's at the end of the main straight. That's turn 1, 2 and 3. Corey Lazarus is in the gravel and out of any sort of contention. Wowee. That's the sting in the tail we're waiting for. Lazarus. Oh no. If nothing else, Adam, it gives everybody else a little vote of confidence around him though, because it proves he's human.
Well, yeah, this car seems to have really closed up those gaps. There's no other than Dyson who is starting to get that advantage. Everyone else seems to be like there or thereabouts in that same sort of top echelon. As Bondi goes for a move here, the front brakes, can you pull it up? Not just. So, well, yeah, not quite. So there's obviously, there's that little tiny extra 1% that Dyson's found. The other guys are just trying to figure it out. But once they unlock that secret code, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens when they all sort of get on even pace and have more races like we saw at Monza last week.
Indeed. So Bondi in position 18 at the moment. We picked up Jacko Dial. Good to see him back out there. Project 36. So that Project 36 stable is now coming on leaps and bounds and soon to be a force to be reckoned with. Smith, Lazarus, Rogers to pit lane that time through. Smith in and out in 7.31 seconds. Very nicely done. Uh-oh. Jacko. Oh, there you go. Welcome back. Sitting down there in position number 13 at the moment. These guys have completed their stop. They're good to go to the end. That's lap traffic that he's working his way around at the moment. Rodney Goll under pit road. Paul Rogers, Corey Lazarus, all back out on the racetrack now.
As you see, you got Jeffrey Adams in the background here. Will Golan come out in this group? Or will he actually make the overcut work here? He's on the exit pit lane.
Nick Wood there in position 19, and Jeff Adams comes through to take 13th away from Rodney Gollan. Very nicely done. Next target for Adams is Jacko Dahl, but he's got one car wedged in between him at the moment. Dyson's lead on his teammate is 9.4 seconds, and Jonesy hasn't stopped yet. Now Dyson does. Dyson's on pit road. Is Jonesy going in this time round as well? Surely, I mean, they've gone half an hour on this tank. Surely that's the threshold. Yep, it is. Jones is in. Is this the lap in which we'll be able to say the field is cleansed? And if you stopped on lap 5, you'd be hoping that is, because 5 and 19 makes 24, 19 and 5 makes 24, funnily enough. And that would mean that technically all these guys that stopped on lap 5, and I'm looking at Derek Fitzgerald and Alan Dawson, should be able to get their way home. Benny Snell's in a little bit of trouble, though. Although, actually, no, he's all right. He's a lap down and got to get 19 laps out of this stint as well. Still only 3 retirements so far, although Matt Avenel's about to change that and become the 4th. Mark Heppel, the last of the runners, in 26th at the moment. Lap 18, that's where you've got to get to. 18. Threshold for making it or breaking it as far as classification is concerned. At the moment, we've got 26 cars still likely to tick that box. Will there be a late retirement to ensure that all the finishers get championship points, or is someone here going to go through all that effort, all that rigmarole, and still go home empty-handed? All those questions soon to be answered over the course of the next 10 minutes or so. 6:37 left on the clock, but we know we've got another 4 laps to come. So Dyson gets back to the line before the 35-minute marker of this race. That's the only way we get home with 4 laps from here, given the numbers that I was crunching there for you earlier. Michael Adams is 16th. Luke Page is giving Ryan Jones a bit of a hurry up there in the battle for 3rd. It's the closest battle on the racetrack. Oscar Haynes is right there on the tail of Craig Bond. He's moved up to 14th now that the pit lane transit is complete. The field is cleansed, ladies and gentlemen. We're on our way home. Awfully weird is the general consensus from Jack O'Donnell with regards to how this new car drives. Interesting insight, mate. Yeah, it has been a few months. Good to see you back on grid, buddy, and good to see. So go for it, Adam.
Yeah, the current defect with the car with the bouncy suspension does make the car feel weird. I think once they iron that out, it's going to be a pretty good car to drive.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the moment it's you're playing. If you get too gritty with the curve, it's a bit of a rush your leg, because every now and then it'll jump high, but take it, and then other times it'll jump high and bounce and spin. So there's a little bit of a lottery in that at the moment, but hopefully iRacing have been working on that, and they'll get that suspension nice and smooth and get the dampening working again.
Been interesting too, because Jacko mentions that it's been a few months, but time flies when you're having fun. It really doesn't feel like it's been that long a time frame. But good to have you back in the fold, and hopefully it's somewhat a regular occurrence throughout the course of this season. Andrew Smith and Rodney Gollan have just swapped around as well. The curb problem just destroys all the positives. Yeah, that's fair. Are we about to see evidence of that, Jacko? Is that what you're alluding to? Are you trying to give us a little spoiler? 4:28 left on the clock, 3 laps to go at the line. Andrew Dyson on his way home. He's got plenty of time to play with up his sleeve, so we know that there's going to be at least a minute of overtime attached to this, ladies and gentlemen, because we know it's 24. We know that Daiso, who's coming through the last couple of corners now, will get to the line with 4 minutes to go on the clock, and he only needs 3 minutes 20. There he is, past the line now. Right, so with 4 minutes on the clock, he only needs 3:20, so 40 seconds, a minute 40, so a minute of overtime is where we're going. Thank you for alerting us to that, Jacko, because I'm sure Adam will have it queued up on the replay.
Yeah, I saw it there on the track list.
Yep, exactly. So we haven't missed it, but we'll come back and cover it off. Because obviously that's just been the difference between doing it live and doing it delayed, is that we run all the replays at the end as a highlights feature. Rodney Gollan and Andrew Smith arguing over 12th. There's Luke Page in 3rd, chasing Hayden Smith, the number 1, the defending champ. Although, given Daiso's form at the moment, Adam Lavis, I think everybody's got their work cut out for themselves to try and reel him in. I think Smithy is under serious pressure to retain that number 1. He's going to have to work bloody hard for it and maybe hope for a miracle.
Yeah, as we saw last season in the 3 championships that Dyson did take away, once he sort of gets a flow, it's very hard to put a stop to him. So the guys are going to need to find a way to to get up to him and put him under pressure to try and claw that margin back in.
Indeed.
So yeah, the fact tonight he hasn't even had to play the field games that he played last week. Tonight it's just been straight pace. He's just driven away from the field.
That's it. All happening on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Don't forget, back here tonight, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 in the West, 10:30 in New Zealand.
We saw things didn't go well with these two last. We saw things didn't go too well with these two last rounds. So see if they can play in the good corner this week.
Will they play nice? Will they play fair and respectable, gentlemanly like at this time through? That's a good call. But they certainly had the elbows out, and it's very rare that Corey has to get the elbows out here, quite frankly. But he'd love to get one up on Marcus this time through and restore order and seek revenge and redemption. He's got his nose in front. Lazarus to the outside of Watson. Deep under brakes. Watson lets him go. Oh, not yet, not yet. Now he does. Oh, very nicely done. Lazarus goes through. 2 to go. Lazarus up to P7. Not where he'd want to be, fairly. But he has had 2 off-track skirmishes tonight. We saw one happen. We saw the aftermath of that. We didn't see the first one, though. Jack O'Donnell chasing now. Watson's got him back. Watson's got him back. Now Lazarus is off the road for 3rd time. He's off the road for 3rd time. Can you believe this? That invites Paul Rogers and Jack O'Donnell into the mix to displace the 4-time champ. But Lazarus somehow manages to get up on the inside and make it near on impossible for Jack O'Donnell to go to 9th. Reset, regroup, refocus, go again. 1.5 laps to go. White flag in the air now for Andrew Dyson. A minute of overtime coming your way, folks, as if we haven't already done enough time in the booth this afternoon. We're into the 6th hour, and I said 6:30. That's looking pretty good as far as the sign-off time is concerned. It'll be a little bit later than that by the time we get through our post-race debrief and give you the points updates, the results from the other 2 splits, and so on and so forth. But in the meantime, we have got time about to expire. We're on the run to the checkered flag. Dyson's going to bring it home. 10 seconds up the road from everybody else. That's Oscar Haynes giving Bondi a hurry up. So you got 3 real active battles here. In the top 10, you got Lazarus and Rogers. Dole's been left behind. You've got Page, Jones and Smith going at it for 2nd. Now Haynes on Bond for 14th. Derek Fitzgerald back to pit lane. That's not how he would have wanted to end the race here. He's got to grab a top up of fuel and get an extra lap out of the tag. Haynes down the inside of Bond. Bondy forceful on the outside, keeps him at bay a little longer. Haynes is still going at it. Now to the outside. He's on the wrong side of the road for the run up the hill. He'll try the switch back, the up and under. Bond's awake to that. Gets across to cover it off and defend up the hill. Had to drive it mid-track so that he couldn't get the up and under. Andrew Dyson has his 3rd win of the campaign at the Imola circuit. He sweeps the jackpot tonight. Pole and the race win. Doesn't get the fastest lap, but when you're 10 seconds up the road, it doesn't bloody matter. Dyson has his 3rd win of the campaign. And another round win as well in the GSRC Porsche Cup Elite Split for 2026 and Turn 1 action. Lazarus diving? No. Has to settle for 8th. Rogers has gone through to 9th. Sorry, no, Rogers has gone through to 8th. Dole's around the outside. Corey Lazarus has dropped to 10th on the run home. Wowee. Smith got the better of Page and Jones. King barrel on. Watson in for 7th after that late run-in with Corey Lazarus. Rogers and Dial and Smith have all gone through. Lazarus has crossed the line in 10th, but I don't know. I don't know how we explain that, quite frankly. Because a lot's happened, obviously, in that final sector. We saw Lazarus was wide. We saw that
Derek's out of fuel.
Rogers has got time and Dial. And Derek Fitzgerald out of fuel again. Well, it's a skill. It's a skill to sell yourself short, so you got to come in for a splash and dash for the last lap and then run out of fuel again. And Mark Heppel as well. Heppel's going to have to limp to the line. I'm not sure he will.
Heppel's up down, so he's made it. But Derek is coming. It's a long way to the line.
It's a very long way to the line when you're limping and coasting. And there's no downhill help for you there either. Wowee.
I think he's going to get there.
Now, Corey Lazarus is showing on my leaderboard down in 22nd, but I don't think that's right. I think that'll correct. I think that will correct on my timing screen. I've got no idea what's going on there. Because he should be showing in 10th. But anyway, let's have a look at the race highlights. It didn't start well for Andrew Neil. This is how all that started on the run down to turn 1. Wrong place, wrong time, outside contact, and see you later. Willie Blair in 5th place here. That was just grass, unfortunately, for Willie. And then on the braking zone. So you're a passenger at that point, and he saw fit to take himself through the gravel trap and rejoin on the outer side. And that was a 7-position swing. That's how costly it was. That was Bondi. Oh, wow. Okay. We'll have a look at that later. Oh, Jesus. And then this was Alan Dawson. So there's the contact. Oh, Bondi got the curb. Bondi got the curb. Dawson, the passenger, because unfortunately the jiggle, as you guys were saying there earlier, you and Jacko, the curbing is a mongrel for these things, and he's taken, like, obviously you drive across that ripple strip and that curbing, but that momentum, it just bobbles you straight across the racetrack. It may not have been intentional, but that was the consequence. There's Ben Snell getting cleaned up as an innocent bystander. That was enough for Snelly. I'll see you next week, boys, he says. But yeah, no excuses being made there for Bondi, but you can see the impact that the ripple strip has in terms of just how it shifts the momentum. And it just moves you to the right-hand side, to the outer side of where you're going. And that went straight into the path of the right sim racing entry.
So I think this is where Corey falls back.
He had nowhere to go. Luke Page and Corey Lazarus. Oh, yeah, he's bowled it too deep.
Oh, yeah, he's at the AstroTurf.
AstroTurf gone. See you later. So that was the first of 3 mistakes for Corey tonight that we've seen already. There might be more, but that was the first one. South Australian viewers, stand by. News is on its way. In about 3 minutes' time. If you want to get amongst that, after you've watched all the action here this afternoon on the platforms of the GSRC. Bang, Oscar Haynes getting poleaxed. Who was that? Was that Watto? Yeah. Why did I just know? Oh, we love Marcus, but I tell you what, he's had a rough couple of weeks. There's Nick Wood. Again, too much curb, paid the price. Paid the price. There's 24 watching on our YouTube thread at the moment, which is good to see. Pat Klein to the right-hand side. He got the ripple strip and got unsettled on that. The AstroTurf and the white line. Lethal trio, lethal combo. That's the hip and shoulder that we're talking about. So this is what Jacko might have been referencing there earlier. A little bit of hip and shoulder. And then when he's gone to pull it up, here he goes, rallycross. Not bad either. Good recovery, Jacko. Well done. This incident here, Mark Heppel. Yeah. That was to Jacko's benefit, obviously. Mark Heppel getting involved in that garbage.
Just as long as they're alive. So the Schwager goes to the move, and unfortunately Apple's already there, and they're just going together.
Oh, yeah, and Apple trying to take a far tighter line on the exit and what Schweikert was anticipating. Yeah, so that one's a racing incident. Well, not much Aiden Schweikert could have done there apart from get out of the throttle and bog himself down for the run up the hill. That would have lost all his momentum, but he did anyway. Matt Avenel parked it beautifully. Parked it beautifully next to the wall.
I think this is the one Dial was talking about.
Here's Jacko. Ah, yep. Curb claims another innocent victim. Again, that was a little bit of grass for Corey, and then that was the curb, and goodbye. Oh, wow. And right there is probably the best. Can we rewind that? Can we just go back and observe that, Adam? That bobble? Because that unsettlement that you've seen there, watch this. Watch this. So he's taken the curb there. 1, 2, right? And then the bobble continues. 3, 4, 5. By that point, he's a passenger.
Yes,
that is so evident now. Like, that's the first time we've really been given a really good insight into what you guys have been talking about with regards to how nervy these cars are when you get the curb.
Yeah, it gets a bit of an oscillation, and instead of absorbing, it sort of escalates. I think it's apparently it's something in the physics code, not the car code. So that's why racing is taking a little bit longer to work on it.
Yep. And no doubt they've been flooded with complaints already from the driving community saying, get your SH1T together and fix this bloody thing. And that's the thing. Like, I mean, iRacing won't take every single bit of sound advice that's passed on to them. Geez, that was a wild ride for Paddy Klein. But they are nothing without their clientele, without their customers. And they are their best avenue for feedback and improvement for the greater good. So hopefully that advice has been passed on and everybody's amongst it. That was the third moment for Corey Lazarus, and then there's about to be a fourth. Here's Andrew Neil again. Oh, that was it. Okay, there you go. I thought there was another moment about 3 corners from home. I thought there was a moment down the bottom of the hill, and that's why he lost 9th and 10th. But there it is for you. Now, okay, so where the hell is he on our leaderboard?
My guess, I'll double check, but he may have got the instant points.
Oh, no. Oh, jeez. Are you kidding me? What on earth is going on here? Wow. All right. So Andrew Dyson, Hayden Smith, Luke Page, Ryan Jones and Reece King. That top 5. Alex Barrelon in for 6. Marcus Watson, Paul Rogers, Jackson Dial and Andrew Smith, the top 10. Braden Jeff Adams, Rodney Gollan, Craig Bond, Oscar Haynes and Michael Adams, the top 15. Alan Dawson, Pat Klein, Jack Humphries, Aiden Schweikert and Andrew Neil on a night purely to forget for a few would-be contenders, Corey Lazarus being one of them. No wonder Denchi was like, I don't need to be here tonight. He's just taken the drop round and on to next week we go. But again, once they can nut out those gremlins, Adam, we've got a very, very good and fruitful Porsche Cup Series to enjoy here on the platforms of the GSRC. Look at that winning margin for Andrew Dyson, though. 10.1 seconds. That is a smashing. That is an absolute trouncing of the competition.
Yeah, Corey's got 2 instant points. It says on lap 25, so he might have done it after the line possibly, which is still kind of stingy. Oh, it might have been on the last lap because it says 43. It says there's a almost 40 seconds between when RS gives the initial penalty and when it gives him the post race penalty. So, assuming it was on the last lap somewhere, he's got another instant point. It's going to be the limit.
Well, there you have it. Oh boy, excellent. Rightio. That's the housekeeping taken care of as far as the elite split's concerned. There's the results from the open split. Thank you, Adam Lavis. We've got 2 result sheets to run through here, and then 3 lots of championship points as well. So stay with us. The paperwork's not yet done, ladies and gentlemen. Raw housekeeping to take care of. Tom Williams, again, seeking clarification as to Which one that is, whether it's the one that is synonymous with the great outdoors and room for improvement or not, but I don't think so. Tom Williams, Richard King, John Akers, Tim Nicol and Dale Atkins, the top 5. Todd Suter, David Baz, Daniel Piper, Luke Brooker and Matt Schmidtke, the top 10 there. Point to the margin in qualifying, first to second, and then John Akers back there in third. They shouldn't have. They really shouldn't have the trophies, gold, silver and bronze there for qualifying, Adam Lavis. I'm protesting. So they completed 15 laps in that session. Then in the 23-lap race, that's all they were able to manage. A 23-lap race, John Akers has overturned that result in qualifying, turned it into a race win from Richard King and Tom Williams. Ben Bryden, Friend, Tim Nicol, Daniel Piper, Greg Heaney, Jason Wilkinson, Todd Suter and Matt Schmidtke, the top 10. Very nicely done. Merch.tgsrci.com is where you go for all your GSRC-related merch and paraphernalia, and race.tgsrci.com is where you go for all your relevant club information with regards to who we are, what we do, when we do it, how we do it, why we do it, and how you can get involved in it as well, ladies and gentlemen. So all your relevant information, everything you need to know about this club, race.tgsrci.com, merch.tgsrci.com, or gsrcmerch.myshopify.com for the paraphernalia. Rick Calling Fitzgerald got the job done in qualifying in the AM split ahead of Quinton de Klerk, Nathan Harvey, Jordan Dakin, James Denton and Barry Punter, Kurt Normanson, Luke Wegener, then Troy Mortensen and Alan McDonald, the top 10. Race? Nathan Harvey, well done, on top, ahead of Jordan Dakin and Kurt Normanson, he'll be happy with that. Jesse McManaman in for 4th, then Kelly McLaren, Troy Mortensen. Then you go back to Alan McDonald, Edward Rollo, Lee Peckham and Daniel Stone. The top 10 there. Nicely done. Well played. Porsche Cup Elite standings for you now. There they are as far as Term 1 is concerned. We're at the end of week 3 now and a third of the way through the title fight. 5 races down, 11 to go. The first of the 40-minute features done for the season, and Andrew Dyson has got a commanding lead. 49 points the advantage over Hayden Smith, Marcus Watson, Ryan Jones and Corey Lazarus. Very nicely done. Jonesy particularly up there in the top 4 and ahead of the 4-time champ. That's a good start of the season for him. Watto, of course, 7th home in all of that. A couple of DNFs to make note of. 17th for Bondi, so he's got a red mark next to his name there for some reason. Corey Lazarus, 22nd. That is a night to forget for him, isn't it? 10-second penalty for and a safety licence penalty point and racing room. So yeah, that'll be it. Yep, copy. Dear, how about that? Jeff Adams, Reece Keane, Alan Dawson, Luke Page and Alexander Barrell on the top 10, but already 87 points. 87 points between 1st and 10th in this series as Andrew Dyson makes a statement in the opening third of the season. Open split. There it is. The synonymous yellow. John Akers on top. Only 5 points clear of Todd Suter, who was 9th across the line. Tim Nicol on 102. Greg Heaney, Jason Wilkinson, Broden Friend, Richard King, Matt Schmidtke, Eduardo Zamora and Bobby Camo, the top 10. The top 10 covered by 68 points at the moment. Again, sorry, maths. No, I was right the first time. 72 points covering the top 10 at the moment. 74 and 74 is 148, so it's 72. And that's where it's going right now. 5 points covers 1st and 2nd, 44 covers 1st and 3rd. And some good, strong numbers there. Richard King, the big mover round on round in that series. So too, Broden Friend. And as the season goes on, you'll see more from the open split and also the AM split. But this is what their point situation looks like after 3 rounds. And again, a little bit of a different picture to paint here because we had to move so many drivers up and down between servers and create this series as well after the 2nd round. Full grid turnout last week. Nathan Harvey, 19 points on Jordan Dakin. Kelly McLaren not too far back. Then Lee Peckham and Joel Hansen, I should say. So that's 47 points covering the top 5. And as far as the top 10 concerned, it's 69. 84 and 60 is 144. So, yeah, 69 points between Nathan Harvey and Keel Cunningham. The top 10 there. Very well stacked top 6 at the moment. There's no doubt about that. 49 points covers Edward Rollo and Nathan Harvey. So that is on in earnest as the season rolls on. Speaking of the season, that's the schedule for the Porsches. That's what the road ahead looks like for them. Off to the Daytona Road Course next week. Then to Sebring. That'll be a beauty. I just got a message actually from the number 1 ticket holder at Sebring, Nick Fodiatis. But I don't think we'll be seeing him on the grid in a couple of weeks' time, funnily enough. Hockenheim for sprint racing. Then Adelaide for sprint racing. I'll be coming to you from Cessnock for that one. Then March 12, we're off to the Miami International Autodrome. That'll be a tough one, actually, I think, based on what we saw earlier in the night in GT4. Then to the Nürburgring Nordschleife for 60 minutes of flat-out action in the only enduro of the campaign. And our old token favourite, staple, super sprint format at Phillip Island to bring the curtain down on Term 1. That's exciting. We do it with thanks to Disruptive Labs, Waste Options, Trophy AI, merch.tgsrci.com and Flash Graphics. This is what's coming your way on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook and YouTube for the rest of week 3 and the week 4. We're taking a break. We're taking the rest of the night off. Adam's going to go and have a steer. I'm going to go and have a lie down. Got a seriously good headache coming on. So it'll be Winter Olympics and not much else for me. But there it is. Adelaide Street Circuit, the venue tonight. The destination for the latest round of Disruptive Labs GTE. That is 45 minutes. The journey there, and that is from 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time. That's race start, so it's not 8:45 like it was last term for the Road to Indy or Super Formula or whatever, but it is 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Make sure you join Joe Baldwin and Liam Banks for that in about an hour and 3/4 from now. Then, during that broadcast, they'll spin the wheel for tomorrow night to determine where we're going for the 32 laps of Mount Panorama as far as the car of choice is concerned for this week's edition of Mountain Men. 32 laps, 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Looking forward to that. Week 4 gets underway on Monday night, and how good's this going to be? Sprint racing from Donington Park in Super Formula Light. The racing there's been red hot so far. That will be no different. 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. Again, Adam Lavis and I backing up with you for that one, and we're looking forward to it immensely. Then on to the unknown entity of the GT3 quota for this campaign, this term. Waste Options GT3 live from Monza combined. Yep, expect a big one on the oval, I would imagine, throughout the course of the night. That lap, of course, starting on the oval, then onto the Grand Prix course, etc., etc. It's going to be a lot of fun, particularly those first couple of laps as the field sorts itself out. But if it's anything like what we saw in the Porsche race there earlier today, it'll be well worth the price of admission. And of course, there's a certain level of interest and intrigue attached to the fact that it is on the combined layout. Tuesday night, the Downforce Legends head to the Adelaide Street Circuit for 2 sprint races from 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Then on to Donington Park at 40 minutes from 9:15 Eastern Daylight Time. The latest round of the GSRC Retro Formula 1 Championship. GSRC Oz Legends Cup continues to get us underway on Wednesday night Motorsport. Now, a little bit of a late change there for you, ladies and gentlemen. When they say sprint, are they meaning the west configuration or the east? I hope it's the west, because if it's the east, I'm not turning up. But Adam Lavis has been keeping the seat warm there for a couple of weeks to ensure that our Wednesday night broadcast is up and away.
It's the west configuration, but a shorter version of it. So it cuts out the first sector.
Okay. Righto. Interesting. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Looking forward to seeing that in action, however. Then we go on to the Grand Prix, essentially, layout, the 4.95 kilometre layout, the international course for the bend round of the Supercar Championship with thanks to Trophy AI, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And as I was saying, I'm going to give Adam the night off. He's going to go and have a steer, and looking forward to seeing how he goes with all of that. We're in a little bit of a holding pattern at the moment, folks. And we're trying to find some producers and directors to get us through the season. I've had a couple of other work commitments outside of the GSRC the last couple of Wednesday nights, and I've thoroughly enjoyed those. But until we can find somebody to sit in here and keep Dan Yeaman or Adam Lavis or whoever company on a Wednesday night, I'm going to keep that seat warm so Adam can go and have a drive for once and make most of his membership for this point. And Dan Yeaman will slot into expert comments and, of course, director and producer duties whilst I do the lead play-by-play. That's one of the benefits of having Dan Yeaman being able to be versatile and being multi-talented in that regard, that he can do both roles and do them well. So I'll be with you Wednesday night. Keep your eyes peeled. It won't be next Friday. Adam Lavis is tied up with other commitments. It won't be next Thursday, but at a date and time to be confirmed. That's the assignment for us as far as our Thursday night offering is concerned, be it Saturday or Sunday next weekend. We'll get it on eventually. It'll be Disruptive Labs GT4 from Monza for 40 minutes there. That'll be well worth the price of admission, especially if they're going to do anything like what the Porsches did around there. And then the GSRC Porsche Cup continues from the Daytona Road Course, and 40 minutes the journey there as well. So just 2 races the next time we go around on Thursday night motorsport after the 8-race marathon we've brought you over the course of the last 5 3/4 hours. And that's just about that. But yes, looking forward to it. 40 minutes the journey, 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time is the start of that race for anyone jumping in the server and having a steer. 9 p.m. Eastern for the Porsche Cup for anyone having a run there next Friday night. Next Thursday night, I should say. Now, as far as we're concerned, Adam and I are jumping ship. We're out of here. Driver change in about an hour. Yeah, exactly. Not happy with the fact the car was fastest, ready to go to the win. Good on you, Kurt. Appreciate that. Can't trust iRacing fuel calculations. No, you absolutely cannot. And we've seen many drivers trip up on that before over the course of the 6 years that we've been here, bringing you all the action on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Seriously, hope you enjoyed that, ladies and gentlemen. Great fun. We've enjoyed it. Good to play catch-up this afternoon. An 8-race program that gave us something for everyone, really. Offered up the best of everything. A few big shunts, some great racing, some great strategy as well. Andrew Dyson, the dominant force, the favourite at the moment in the Porsche Cup. In amongst everything else that's coming up, don't forget it's a massive weekend of sport. One thing I haven't mentioned yet, obviously we've been talking about the Winter Olympics ad nauseum. We've got obviously the English Premier League continuing, the A-League, the NBL, all that's coming up. The first of the NRL pre-season trials also on tomorrow night. You've got obviously the countdown to the Daytona 500 well and truly underway. You've got Sail GP coming up next weekend in New Zealand. We've obviously just come off the back of a wonderful summer of tennis and the Cadel Evans Great Ocean Road Race. But the one thing that's coming up this weekend that I haven't mentioned yet, on the back of obviously talking about the Winter Olympics and the T20 World Cup and all the big-time sporting events, if you are a fan of the Davis Cup, the Aussies are in action against Ecuador, early hours Sunday and Monday morning, and you will see that on 9 Go and 9 Now. So the tennis rolls on, but it's at a far less time-friendly part of the day. Hope you enjoyed all of that. Big thanks to you, Adam Lavis. Well done on the race win in GT4 at the Miami International Autodrome. Big thanks to you for stepping up and delivering the goods for us from the production standpoint whilst we wait to fill the void here for Thursday Night Motorsport. We've enjoyed your company. If you didn't enjoy that, you're difficult to please, but no shortage of sporting content to keep you entertained over the course of the next couple of weeks and months. Joe Baldwin and Liam Banks picking it up for us from 25 past 8 Eastern Daylight Time, ready for GTE from Adelaide at 8:30. Until then, have a great evening, everybody. Adam and I look forward to seeing you on Monday night. Have a great weekend. Get out and support the local sport that's happening right around your region. Make the most of the last of the summer months, unless you're in Queensland, of course, because you can't, because the sun goes down too early. We'll look forward to your company on Monday for the resumption of play, the start of week 4 of competition. Until then, on behalf of Adam Lavis, I'm Zach Caven. We'll see you then, and we look forward to having you with us with Joe Baldwin and Liam Banks steering you through the rest of the evening for the third leg of our Friday treble at 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Until then, it's bye for now.